Hi guys, Ray here from City Fan TV. Hope you're all doing very well indeed. And we're getting ready for the start of the new season. So I'm joined by Bernard Deneen from the Citizen channel, sporting a very nice and I think quite appropriate top. How you doing, mate?
Well, you don't live in the past, mate. So obviously, I'm thinking about City doing a big thing on the channel at the moment, on their channel about 2020, aren't they, with the 20 years at the Etihad. And of course, this was from 2003, 2004. So this one, so
this one as well. This one is the current shirt, this current home shirt, but it's very, very similar to the shirt 2003-4 when we moved to the Etihad. It's basically that this is designed upon that. And that was the away shirt for that.
Reebok, of course, with the old guys, haven't they? Not one that side. You put your hand on the wrong side.
So that's because that was Reebok. The year before it was Kappa. Because First Advice, if I remember correctly, they sponsored us 2 seasons. One, if you remember the IDOS shirts, the big blue,
the laser blue shirt rather than sky blue.
I think they sponsored us that at home that season. First Advice on the shirts. I remember that. And the following season, when we were
sponsoring us, they went bust. So
sponsors went bust. So they couldn't take they were a finance company and they couldn't take their own advice. They went. Oh dear me. So let's move on. Let's move on from this chit chat because
let's move on 20 years, shall we, to the 23-24 season.
Look, we're here to look at the coming season. We're going to look at a little bit. Obviously, we've got to reflect on what we achieved last season. Look at some incomings, outgoings, what's going on, because it's been a very haphazard summer for City. So let's go back. Let's go back a little bit. We're not even going to go back as far as we win in the Premier League because we'll have the Arsenal fans crying again. We're not going to talk about winning the FA Cup because we'll have the United fans crying again. What we will talk about, and we don't care about United fans crying, is the treble. That final trophy that we hadn't won was that Champions League, and you were there, Bernard. So, I mean, how do you briefly reflect on last season? Was it one of the best ever?
I think it has to be, doesn't it, mate? I wouldn't say it was the best Manchester City team ever in recent history or perhaps past history, but we know, don't we? You don't have to be the best to win the Champions League. You don't have to be the best team to win the treble because United have won it once, and so it doesn't make any difference. It was just there at that time, the right time to do it. Yes, we didn't play that great, did we, in the final? But that doesn't matter, does it? At the end of the day, it's what's in the record books and being there and doing it. And yeah, we did enough to do it. And how many teams can actually say it? Not many. Not many can say they've been able to do it. So I think it's 12. 12, is it? 12 teams have done it in different countries, throughout all the countries there, the Cup, the league and the Champions League. I think there's like 12 teams have done it in total over history. So why not a nice dozen to be in?
Yeah, absolutely. And it was more special because we beat United in the final of the FA Cup. We won the league for the 3rd time on the bounce, which is a rare feat. Very, very few clubs do that. And we won the Champions League and the treble and everything. It's just record breaking at City. It's absolutely fantastic. Let's look at some transfers in and out and the mess that's been this season. So very early on, we knew obviously Gundogan was going. I think we talked about it, months and months ago, that it looked like the fact that he wasn't given any indication. He kept saying wait till the end of the season. We knew he was going, and you kept telling me he's not going to stay. So Gundogan left. He's having a bit of fun at Barcelona. There's issues with Barcelona's finances again, and I don't think so. I don't think this will happen, but he might end up being a free agent or something daft. But so he went very quickly. We got Kovacic in. Very soon after that, Mahrez, who rubbished the idea of him leaving and going to Saudi Arabia, went to Saudi Arabia. I can only think of 25 million reasons why he did that. So he's gone. And was it last week we got confirmation that we were buying Josko Guardiola? I told you about that months and months and months ago. I said, just wait, it will happen. Where fans were worried that it wouldn't happen and what's going on. I said, these things take time. It's a huge transfer. And Leipzig are not in a rush to sell. So we've had 2 go out, 2 come in. We've had some kids come back from loan. Yes, we're linked with lots of players. Obviously, at the moment, we're linked with Paquetá, Lucas Paquetá from West Ham. We're linked with right wingers. We were recently linked with Jeremy Doku. He's playing. I can't remember. He's playing in France, I think. Is he Jeremy Doku? Can't remember now. But I did do a video about him a few weeks ago. But we're linked with so many players. You read up about them and then you forget about them very quickly as well, because you've got to move on to the next. So, there's rumours of Palmer going out on loan to West Ham, or being sold to them. There's rumours of what's going to happen with McAtee, Oscar Bob. We've got Peroni. What's happening with him? So I'm going to ask you, Bernard, to give your reflections on what business we have and haven't done this summer. Oh, by the way, I will just say, it looks like we're keeping Kyle Walker. It looks like we're keeping Bernardo Silva. Very, very important. So don't forget about those two fellas. And it looks like KDB's not injured. People were thinking he's going to miss months of the season. So I think when you put those into the equation, we've done slightly better than people.
Kovacic isn't injured either. Everyone was saying he'd done some damage to himself, but obviously it's the young lad, isn't it? That's is it Wright? Ben Wright? Is it Ben White? Right? The young lad.
White.
He's did some damage. He's in a cast into in a foot thing anyway. So yeah, I saw that last night. Kovacic.
He came go on.
Sorry.
You go now. I was just going to talk about the kid White, who came from Ipswich to Man City. But I don't think people are that want to know too much about him. But anyway, let's move on. His name's not. I'm sure it's not Ben White, because Ben White's the guy who gone to Arsenal. But I'll remember in a minute.
Yeah, Pep's hinted that there's still someone else coming, hasn't he? Whether it's this, I don't think it's this West Ham guy at the time.
I'm going to jump in. I just remember Ben Knight, not Ben White.
Ben Knight, right? Yeah. So Pep's hinted, hasn't he? So whether it's this West Ham bloke, I'm not too sure whether he was on his mind. It seemed to be probably 2 or 3 days later that this had suddenly been touted around, that we were going 70 million for this other guy. So that could be the one. That could be what I was after. At this point in time, personally, I think we're slightly weaker than we were last season at this point in time. Temperamentally, I was a bit annoyed, and I was very, very, very annoyed at Wembley that we've still not got to the bottom of penalties for a team of our calibre, of our coaching abilities, our coaching staff, that we can't put together. I was doing something on Riyad Mahrez, and we're looking at that penalty. He had a great run. I think he had 9 penalties he hit on the bounce, and then all of a sudden he missed 3 on the trot, something stupid like this. And he had that stupid game. I can't remember what the game. I only did it yesterday. The game where he picked the ball up, Rodri took it off him, then Gundogan got involved. Haaland was on the pitch, and he ended up back with Mahrez, and he did score it. But it just shows the calamitous state we're in for a club of our size. Now, listen, we're not that Inter Milan, that Inter game. If that had gone to penalties, would you have had any faith that we would have won that on penalties? We wouldn't have, we would have lost another Champions League. So I'm just talking, and I'm using that as a basis of what I'm saying about what worries me a little bit about City this season. From the peak we're at, that the certain fundamentals aren't not being looked at. I can't understand it of a club. We've reached the peak, as you said. Hopefully, we can stay at the peak rather than start coming down. We have this look at players, don't we, where we get a level where they start to go, and that worries me a little bit, because we haven't sorted that out, and that is a big worry. And I personally think, Guardiola will be a great asset. I think Kovacic will be a great asset, but you've lost Mahrez and Gundo. And Gundo's abilities can never be underestimated at any stage. I think we're slightly weaker. We're not quite at full flow yet. I thought the second half against Arsenal was a lot better on the Community Shield. The first half, we sort of dominated without doing much, and then allowed Arsenal to get into it. And it's just silly little things at the moment. I think, obviously, Burnley away, which we'll talk about at some stage, but you've got that coming up. It's, in theory, we thrashed them 6-1 last season at the Etihad. Was it 6-1 at the Etihad in the FA Cup? They've strengthened, looking at what they've done. And I think we're a little bit undercooked on what we want to be or where Pep wants us to be. And as I say, I will be happier if these rumours of another player coming in happen. Defensively, I'm okay. That's why I was a bit perturbed. Defensively, we looked a bit crappy against Arsenal. We looked a bit defensively a bit bad in all the Japanese and the Korean games. I thought the defence looked a bit iffy, and yet for me, on paper, we've got some cracking defenders now. So, but that's Pep's system has to adapt to that. So, I do worry we'll get off to our usual hit and miss start. Don't want it to happen, but and unfortunately, if we do that, unfortunately, other teams might take advantage this year. So, I'm confident. I am confident, but yeah, I just have I'm a typical, me, glass half full. There's just little chinks of little problems there that I can foresee.
Yeah, well, the Burnley was 6-0. I remember that. So that was 6-0. It is a concern, and I agree with you. I think we are weaker. Gundogan had a lot of qualities that, and Kovacic is a replacement for Gundogan. He had a lot of qualities that whoever we get in will not be like Gundogan. He provided a lot of assists, scored a lot of goals, a lot of composure, leadership qualities. Whether people think he's a leader or not, he was a captain. So we've lost a lot. And Kovacic is not a replacement, certainly not for him. We do need a couple of bodies. And, we are thinking, well, Mahrez has gone. I've said it before. I'm not too bothered because he wasn't starting games at the end of last season, the important games. That was Bernardo Silva. And I thought Cole Palmer was going to be the guy who's going to play on the right and cut inside like Mahrez. He needs more game time. And if he does stay, part of me hopes he does, that he'll get that elevation and he'll be that player that I thought he was going to be when I saw him play 3 or 4 years ago. So, but we do need more players. I said, I've got big myself up. No, I'm not. But I said this before that we will be buying one more player, possibly 2. So there will be some more business, and I think we will lose somebody. We have to lose one of the kids. I can't see Oscar Bob, McAtee, and Palmer, all 3 of them staying. It'd be hard to keep more than one. I can see somebody wanting to stay, especially like someone like Palmer, who's been here since the year dot. If you're a City fan, you want to stay and stick it out. You're not going to, you'd be gutted to have to leave. Why it was easy for someone like Romeo Lavia to leave? He's not a born and bred City fan. He's Carlos Borges, even though he's been here for 8 years, he still wants to develop, wants to improve, wants to start playing, and he's not going to get that at City. It's going to be really interesting to see who else we buy. The window's open for a few more weeks. And I don't think we've got enough players yet. I think we need, as I said, 1 or 2 more. I think Walker staying is important, even though he's not my first choice right back at the moment. If we are playing with an out and out right back who we want pace going down the line, then Walker's your man. But we've transitioned it over to having this inverted fullback, the guy who starts on the right and moves into midfield. But keeping Bernardo, I think, is huge. It's huge for us because, like Gundogan, there is no player like Bernardo Silva. But I think we need some more attacking talent. One worry I have is, and I'm sure you've got the same worry, you haven't mentioned it, so I will. Haaland hasn't been scoring a lot of goals. Is that a concern for you?
Yeah, he was. I think we're going to get this. I think this is just what we're going to get with Haaland. He'll score hat-tricks this season, but he will. All right, went a hell of a lot of games in the last season, didn't he? Without score, was it 8? Yeah. I think at the end of last season.
In about 9 games, I think, last season.
Service was shocking again. The Community Shield, that creativity worries me. Without KDB there, that worries me. I love Bernardo to bits, but he's not the guy to step in and do that sort of thing. Kovacic looks capable of doing certain things, but again, he tried a little bit too much in the Community Shield. So you've got to have creativity around Haaland. So this is, this West Ham guy that we what's his name again?
Lucas Paquetá.
That sort of guy who can create something and feed a centre forward, if you like. And Haaland is a centre forward. It's as simple as that. He's not going to do now unless he's getting the service. And when he does get the service, he isn't going to score every one. He's got to have a good rate of scoring. but he's got to perhaps need 3 chances to put a ball in the net. It's as simple as that in most games. Some games he'll get 3 chances and score 3. But so we need that consistency of service into him. And yes, at the moment on the friendlies we've played, he's looked a bit like last season. I know he got a goal in one of the friendlies, but he's just looks a bit, he's not getting the service. He's trying, he's doing whatever a good centre forward should do, trying to hold it up. He's not the greatest at that, of course. Although he's not. Even someone think back to people like Niall Quinn as a centre forward. He can control that ball and shield that ball. Haaland, for all his size, he uses that size to get away with it, but against good defenders, he's not going to get away with it. It's as simple as that. So I do worry a little bit, but only on the basis that I think Pep's looking at ways, not just through KDB, but other players and this other guy from West Ham that we talked about, hopefully bring players like that in to create a little bit more. Because I love Bernardo to bits, but that side of his games,
it's not there.
Pep's asking him to do other things rather than that. But without the people like Gundogan knocking around, we do need a little bit more on that.
Yeah.
And even Palmer, for instance, getting crosses in on from that side. I mean, even that would help someone like Haaland as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think end of last season you were calling Haaland, was it the big
lummox? The big lummox, yeah.
I mean, okay. Before we round this up, I want to talk about Phil Foden. I was tempted to do a video just on Phil Foden, but where do you see him figuring this season? Is he going to be out on the wing, or is he going to be an attacking midfielder?
I think it's another pressured season for him. I think it's another season where, all right, he's come in and he's done it, and he seems to have got his niche, and now he's a bit out there again, not having his niche, and it'll do what he's told to do. But again, we've got to get the best out of him in the same way Bernardo is underutilised for me sometimes because he does other work for Pep. He has this tendency where Foden's going to be the same. If he's not given a bit more of a free rein, he might be limited to what he can do. And he was on fire, wasn't he, till he got that England call up and that appendicitis or whatever he got last season. He was really at it.
The season was on fire. He scored a hat-trick against Man United and set up.
Generally, his play was, he was looking brilliant again. He's not looked overly bad in the free. He's looked okay. He's looked okay what we've seen of him so far. He's looked fine. But again, it's just another big season for him, I think, because he's getting I've seen a lot of criticism on Twitter. We always have City fans, so-called City fans, criticising should swap him for someone and all this garbage, But, so we've got that, but it is again. There's a lot of pressure on him, I think, especially now Gundo's not there as well. As the team stands at the moment, we're going to rely on Phil Foden to be, and his ability. For me, in front of goal needs to improve. He's a bit like Grealish, He doesn't score enough for me now. We know he can score because he's done it. As he said, he was pointing out the hat-trick against United.
Yeah,
but that's gone off a little bit. I want to see more. If he can't score, I want him to see him playing it over to Haaland rather than being greedy and taking the shot himself. That's what he used to do when he was naive. I expect a little bit more from him now because he's one of our seasoned professionals, if you like. So I want to see a bit more from Foden this season than perhaps we got.
Yeah, I mean, I was
certainly, as I say, it's a bit unfair because he got that appendicitis and it sort of knocked him back a bit.
I think he dropped off a little bit.
Yeah. But I think before that England call up, the problem, I thought he was at his best again, and I want him to get very quickly back to that. And we need him to get back to that.
Would you be surprised if I told you that was his best goal-scoring season in the league last season?
No, not really. No, as you say, it wouldn't surprise me at all.
Because he started off so well. He's got 11 out of 32.
It's always, and then all of a sudden, when he was getting opportunities after that, again, this trying too hard, perhaps, getting back in a groove. He just didn't quite get back in his groove again, and we've had a break now. A new season. Let's start from scratch again.
I used to look at Foden and say he was one of our better finishers. So it was a bit disappointing where he's at the moment. But I agree, it's an important pivotal season for him.
Someone like Palmer can get away with it. Palmer sometimes will be greedy when he perhaps should be passing. He should be moving it on to someone else, but you can expect that. But Foden should know now. We saw one in one of the. I think in one of the friendlies, he should have really. There's one where he should have fed Haaland and he didn't, and he didn't score. If he scored, it's fine.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. But and that was the old old problem with Phil Foden that we had a couple of 2-3 seasons ago where he didn't quite know when to do it.
Right now, Phil Foden's 23 years old. And you can still say, oh, yeah, he's young, but hang on, he was playing for City when he was 17. So this is his, for argument's sake,
I think now Gundo's gone. I think without this other guy coming in, if this other guy came in, that's another bit of pressure, of course. But at this point in time, we need him to step up because he's got big responsibility on his shoulders as the squad stands at the moment.
Yeah. All right. I think we're going to leave it there. We will be doing another video about our Premier League predictions, who's going to win what. And I think that'll be interesting. Rather than saying right now what we think City will win or win anything, we'll leave that for you guys to watch that video when it comes out. Once again, Bernard, massive thanks for your contribution, and keep wearing those different shirts for us whenever you come on for the videos. Cheers, mate.